Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Mumtaz. I'm a doctor from India and I make videos on PLAB and USMLE. And yes, I just got registered with the GMC. In this video, I'll be talking about the most subjective exam I've ever taken in my life, the PLAB 2 exam. How I managed to pass it in one go and how you can pass it too. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk about the following topics in great detail. The pattern, how to apply, how to pass the exam, the difference, my experience of the exam, the preparation required and the study materials for PLAB 2. अब ये वीडियो देख रहे हो तो बेसिक पैटर्न तो एग्जाम का पता ही होगा, क्या नहीं पता? चलो बता देते हैं. PLAB 2 has a fairly easy exam pattern like any other OSCE exam. It consists of 16 stations. They basically go inside the cubicle, interact with the patient, diagnose him, manage his condition. Here in each cubicle, you will be judged by an examiner who will judge you on the following areas: your data gathering skills, your management skills, and your interpersonal skills. Oh yes, and you get 2 much needed rest stations in between these 16 stations randomly. How to apply for the exam? Application process काफी straightforward है. So the minute you pass your PLAB 1 exam, you'll get a link on your GMC online account to book slots for your PLAB 2. Now you have to be really quick with booking these slots because the good slots, they disappear like this. There are 3 areas you'll be scored on: the data gathering, management and interpersonal skills. So each of these areas, they carry 4 points. That means 12 points in every station. And you get about 8 minutes to finish each station, right? In order to pass the exam PLAB 2, you need to pass about 10 of these stations, at least 10 of these stations, and get a score above the average score of that day. So the difference, how is it different from other exams? It's not a written or an MCQ pattern exam, which you can just pass if you have read the topics. In this exam, your pass and fail depends on an examiner who might or might not like the way you're handling the patient. So it's quite subjective. So I had my exam on 9th November and I managed to pass about 12 stations in the exam, and my score was 20 points higher than the average score, well within the safe zone. Now I had known people who failed the exam by just 0.14 mark. So my strategy for the exam was to give my maximum to the stations that I was good at, like the ethical stations and the counseling stations, and just managed to get the bare minimum required marks in all the 3 areas, so that I get a minimum of 6 points in each station, whether I pass or fail the station. But the scores I actually got were completely opposite of what I had imagined. The stations that I thought went well for me were the stations I ended up either failing or not scoring well. And the stations that I thought went really bad were the stations where I scored about 10 or 11 out of 12. So that's when I realized the most important thing about the exam. I scored the maximum in this particular station where I was being myself. There was this particular station that I was really scared about because I cracked a subtle joke and the patient laughed, and I was scared that what if the examiner didn't like that, and what if I missed something important in that little chit chat. But that was the station in which I got 11 out of 12. So you have to really take your time to bond with the patient. If they like you, they will help you out by bringing out queries about the points you've missed. Use those first 2 minutes as golden minutes and really bond with the patient and be yourself in the exam. About the stations that I failed, I had covered everything about the management there. I had told the patient everything and I was quite confident about those stations too. But it turns out in a hurry to blurt out everything that I knew about the disease, I forgot to think about patient concerns, and that's how I ended up losing my IPS points. So think about the patient concerns and make your management a 2-way conversation between you and the patient. When you have just 8 minutes per station, covering all these 3 aspects can be very difficult. What I have seen most of the candidates struggle with, and what I myself have struggled with, is that we end up spending about the first 5 to 6 minutes gathering data. And when the bell rings, that's when we realize that okay, we have management to cover. That's when we give the diagnosis. Or management बताते time खत्म. This way, we end up losing 4 points of management, even though we know very well about the topic. So in the last 15 days of my preparation, I focused on making my data gathering part shorter. I restricted it to about 3 to 4 minutes, and I asked only the relevant questions in data gathering and left about 4 minutes specifically to cover my management. I just covered the presenting complaint, the red flags, about 3 differentials, and I asked only the most relevant questions related to lifestyle and psychosocial. I did not cover the whole MAFTOSA thing. For example, in a case with subarachnoid hemorrhage, they don't want to talk about their psychosocial aspect or how it's impacting their work. So that's an irrelevant question there. So I just left all the irrelevant questions in data gathering, and that strategy worked. In my exam, I was able to finish almost all of my stations on time, while most of the candidates on that day struggled to even reach the management. And management was the section that I scored the maximum in. So yes, just plan your time according to what works best for you. I know you'll never be completely satisfied about any of the stations. You'll constantly think about what you missed in the previous station, and what if you missed something? Can you change that? So it doesn't matter, right? Use a fresh brain in every station. Don't think about the mistakes you did in the previous stations. Don't carry that with you. Rest in the rest stations. I know, it's easier said than done, and you'll be constantly pacing around in those 2 stations thinking about how many stations you have left and what your scheme will be in those stations. But hear me out. You're already there. You're almost done with the exam, and there's no way to know what stations you have left. So why think about it? Do yourself a favor, in those rest stations, just have cookie, have coffee. When I went to my first rest station, I was very tired and extremely hungry. So my hands automatically reached to one of the cookies, and GMC has 3 types of cookies, okay? And my God, are those the best cookies you'll ever have in your life. So don't miss that moment. Just have cookies, sip coffee, go to the washroom if you feel like, which you will feel like because, well, the coffee, the anxiety. Come on. And if you're lucky enough, you'll get a nice view of Manchester City from your window. So yeah, relax in those 8 to 10 minutes that you get. Work on the IPS. It's not something that you should do on the exam day, but just thinking in this direction can help you with the exam and also can help you be a better doctor. As an Indian doctor from a government hospital, I'm saying it out loud that we are not the nicest when it comes to talking to patients, or at least I wasn't. But this exam taught me that it's more about treating the patient than treating the disease. So focus on their concerns. Okay, you have diagnosed this condition and it calls for surgery. But does the patient really want the surgery? What are his concerns? Address those. For example, what if he's not thinking about the surgery? He just does not want to get the surgery done because he's concerned about who will take care of him after the surgery. So in that situation, you talk to him, you involve occupational therapists so that they can adjust the home according to his condition, right? The recovery and the care of patients post-operation is also our duty as doctors. And we need to think in that direction too. If you have done that, that's it. You have nothing else to do in the station. GMC knows we're all good doctors. They have tested our knowledge in PLAB 1. In PLAB 2, that's not what they're looking for. PLAB 2 is more about understanding the patient's mindset and how a particular disease can impact someone's life. And I'm sure that you'll be able to pass this exam with this kind of ideology. With this, we have come to the end of this video. In my next video of the PLAB series, I'll be discussing about the preparation time required for PLAB 2, the expenditure, the study materials, whether any academy is needed or not for your PLAB 2 preparation, and everything else required to and everything else related to PLAB 2. So stay tuned and like, share, subscribe if you haven't already.